Hey guys, TruthTech, welcome to another video. Today guys, we're going to be taking a first look at the newly announced AMD Radeon RX 470, which is going to be coming out on August 4th, only a week away, and I'm really excited for this card just because of the fact that I've been seeing a lot of really expensive cards in the market, just because of the fact that NVIDIA has really increased their price point for the base models, and that's really disappointing. AMD luckily has not increased their price point, but still they only have a single card out right now, which is the RX 480, obviously. And yeah, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, we had the GTX 1080 and 1070 come out, and guys, those are way over $300, and that's not exactly budget. I wouldn't even call them budget anymore. They're more enthusiast grade hardware. I'm running a GTX 1070, which I'm happy with, and it's giving a lot of performance, but still, guys, that's not exactly a budget price point. Spending $300 on a video card even is not really budget, in my opinion, at least. And then, of course, we come up with a less expensive card, which is the RX 480, but guys, again, $200, still not exactly what I'd call major budget. Of course, that's budget in my opinion, but budget is relative to how much you're spending, and an RX 480 is expensive and it gives a shit ton of performance, but it still isn't budget to me. I don't think. I'd still say that it's a pretty jump in all way. You know, that's a card that you want to play PC games and PC games only. That's not something you just chop into an old PC and it works. You know, this is something you build a computer around using the RX 480, and you know, that's not exactly something you need to do with the RX 470. This is a card that you might be able to slap into an old computer. Now again, the RX 460 is going to be something that's a lot better for this, of course, and that's coming out on August 8th, which is a couple days later, and that's the kind of thing that's going to be great for esports, playing Dota, playing League, playing, I don't know, whatever your poison is, playing CSGO, whatever it may be, and you'll get some great performance out of that card, but it's not something you're going to be wanting to play more intensive games like Battlefield, Call of Duty, Fallout 4, and I don't know, games like that actually require some power, but you'll be able to play games like, you know, Overwatch, CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and then like Rocket League. Those kind of games you'll be able to play no problem at all. And then yeah, you'll be able to do some gaming in I don't know, Grand Theft Auto 5, some games like that you'll be able to play, of course, obviously, but you know, you're not going to be getting the best performance you probably would want out of those out of that hardware. And yeah guys, so let's go ahead and take a look right into the RX 470's really specs, and then we'll go over what I think about it. So starting off with the stream processors, the AMD Radeon RX 470 has 2048 stream processors, and we're going to be comparing this to the AMD Radeon R7 370, which is the last in the line, and it's got 1024 stream processors, so you know, double the stream processors in the 470, so fantastic. It's got 128 texture units, so it's double what is in the 370, and then it's got an ROPS of 32, which is basically standard at this point. So yeah, I mean, what else can you say? For the clock speed, or for the core clock, you can see that it's got 926 megahertz, and then for the boost clock, it's got 1206 megahertz. You only have the boost clock up for the 370, which is 975. So again, a little bit more than the core clock of the 470, but less than the boost clock by a lot. The memory clock on the 470 is 6.6 gigabytes per second, and it's using GDDR5 memory. The bandwidth is basically the same as normal. It's basically pretty much average for this point at this price. It's got 4 gigabytes of VRAM, 2 more than the 370, which is fantastic to see in a $150 video card, just because of the fact that you kind of need 4 gigabytes of VRAM really when it comes to modern gaming for more intensive games. So it's nice to see 4 gigabytes because that's something that you really want to see in a video card for gaming like this. It's got a transistor count of 5.7 billion, and it's got a typical board power of 120 watts, which is fantastic. Only 120 watts is not bad at all. Now, for the manufacturing, it uses 14 nanometer architecture, which is small, and that's of course because of Polaris architecture, and it's just that goes with the whole Polaris line, obviously, and it's half of what was used in the 370, which is using 28 nanometer architecture. So yeah, a lot smaller, and that's gonna mean that it's gonna use less power, and of course it's gonna mean that it's going to be more effective in terms of sending information. So yeah, guys, it's using the Polaris architecture. Obviously, I've already gone over that, and we don't actually know the launch price for sure yet, but based on what we've seen with the RX 480, I'm gonna suspect that's gonna be coming in at $149, just as the 370 came in, just because of the fact that the RX 480 also came in at $199, and that was the same price as its predecessor. So I'm gonna suspect that it's gonna be across the board, that's gonna be the same. And guys, of course, if they price this card anywhere above $160, then at that point you might as well just go ahead and get the RX 480. I mean, guys, come on, really? So yeah, so when it comes to price, they can't really go anything higher because of the fact that the higher card is already pretty low, and you know, there's only a $50 difference in between the prices. Now, yeah, that seems like a lot to some people, but of course that's not really a lot when you consider the fact that the RX 480 and the GTX 1060 have the $50 price range difference too. And I don't know, honestly, that seems about right to be spending about $150 on this card based on the specs. So obviously this card's not going to be as powerful as the RX 480, but I'm pretty sure it's going to use some pretty heavy duty gaming. Now all we have is the benchmarks based on what they gave us. Now we can see based on these benchmarks that we're expected to get about 65 frames per second. Now I'm guessing these are at ultra settings. I'm pretty sure it is. And I went ahead and looked up the benchmarks for Battlefield 4 with the Radeon R9 270, and they were roughly the same without the without like some special features with it on high settings, on ultra settings. It's like just the fact that they changed a couple settings down, and I think that gave them some more frames. And because of that, I'm pretty sure that these are on ultra. And because of that, if this increase in performance is 1.5% to 2.4%, then of course I feel like this is actually a true number. Of course, that's only if the percent increase is true, but I can tell you that the Radeon R9 270 benchmarks that are shown here are true. So, you know, it's all up to see if that percentile is, I don't know, perfect, if that is the correct percentile in performance. And if you can see there, you can see that the performance increases are different, which actually gives me some hope that they may be, just because the fact that it's not just like 1.5 across the board or 2.4 across the board, which makes me actually kind of think they may have actually run these. Of course, that can all be fabricated, but hopefully they are real benchmarks. And if these are real benchmarks, then I can tell you that this is the kind of card that I could see people running for $400 and really getting an amazing experience. And this just shows how you can spend about what you spend on the console and you can get some great performance. Now, I'd say you cannot fit this card into a $300 budget. I'm sorry, you just can't. But I would say that you could probably fit this card into a $400 budget. And for $400, that's not bad. That's, yeah, a little bit more than you're going to spend on a console, just about $100 more than you're going to spend on a console. But take into account the fact that, of course, games for the system is not going to be as expensive, and of course the fact that I know a lot of people think that Windows is going to be expensive. It's not. You can get it on different websites for $20, so it's not bad, of course. And you know, the savings that you save on games, and of course it being an actual computer, so you can do other things besides, you know, just play video games and watch Netflix on it. It's really great to be able to do stuff besides, you know, play games and watch Netflix, of course. And yeah, so based on these benchmarks, you can see that you're getting over 60 frames per second, which is something that they are bragging about, that this is just going to be a great video card for decent 1080p gaming at some really great frame rates. As you can see on the actual screen from the announcement, you got brilliant HD gaming shown there. So yeah. And yeah, so then you got for the RX 480, you got Beyond HD gaming and premium VR experiences. Now, I'd say that the 470 is not exactly the best card for VR. It's really not the best card for VR, because remember, you have to, when you're rendering a game for VR, you have to render twice the amount of frames, for one for each eye. So when you have to do that, you're going to be splitting your performance in half, basically, and you just can't do that for this kind of card. Now, of course, I don't really expect people to be buying this card than buying a Vive for, you know, $1,000, but I just want to throw that out there. This is not exactly the best card for maybe a living room setup where you plan on doing VR on it. So yeah, it's definitely something to consider, just going up and getting that RX 480 for that kind of features, just to be able to play VR games in your living room or whatever it may be. But yeah, I actually would recommend going up to the GTX 1060. Now, I know I kind of sound a video bias. I have a GTX 1070, but I do actually honestly feel that the GTX 1060 is a slightly better deal, coming in only like $50 more than the 4GB model. And of course, you could pick up the if you plan on picking up the 8GB model anyway, you might as well just go ahead and get the GTX 1060. I guess this might just be my opinion. I might be biased or something. I just don't realize it. But I feel like it's the better deal for the money. You get a little bit more frames per second. I feel like it's worth that little bit of extra cash if you can lay it down, of course. And honestly, I really like the software that it comes with. I like the GeForce experience just because of the fact that you can use Shadow Play to record all your games, and I think that's a fantastic feature. So as you can see here, the overall thing you can get from this video card is that you're going to get over 60 frames per second, and you're going to get the newest architecture, and of course the fact that this video card is going to use some pretty great 1080p gaming. And yeah guys, besides that, I can't really say anything else about this card. This is definitely a card that I would recommend if you're spending anywhere from $400 to $500 in my opinion, just because of the fact that you can get some great 1080p gaming out of this, and you can play some of the best, the newest, and the greatest games at really high settings, if not the highest settings. And yeah guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!